My professional title is Dr. Joseph G.R. Martinez, and I'm a retired Regents professor from the University of New Mexico. I retired in 2012. I was a professor of mathematics education from 1996 to 2012. I have been also a professor of mathematics, for example, at the University of Albuquerque from 1982 to 1985, where I taught mathematics. And I could have taught psychology there, but the mathematics was just too important. So I taught that there. And I also taught mathematics, algebra, trigonometry, and calculus at Calculus 1 at the University of New Mexico, Valencia campus. So that's a big title. But anyway, that's my background. I don't think I was more than 1 or 1.5 years old when that picture was taken there. And on white sheets of paper, two different markings were on there. And one said AB equals BA, and the second one said in parentheses, A plus B equals B plus A. So I just photographed it in my mind, and I thought about it all the time. So then when even though I was adopted in 1947, I was not brought into the Martinez family until about 4 or 5 years later. When I met the Martinez family, I couldn't talk. Nobody taught me how to talk. So I listened to them. And then the first grade was great for me at St. Francis. I learned about the alphabet. I learned about pronunciation. My best little book was a dictionary, because there I found the equal sign, and then I put it all together. Also, there were algebra books in our little library at St. Francis. So I learned mathematics. I learned algebra, and I could teach it by around the 4th grade. With my doctoral dissertation, you've got to realize that to write a doctoral dissertation in a Division I institution, and UNM was a Division I school then and now, you have to come up with something unique, something that's never been done, and something that's important. So it took about 6 to 7 months to come up with this idea. With a doctoral dissertation, I studied the perceptual and conceptual, but mostly the perceptual abilities of super fast readers. It took me 1 year to find 8 people who could literally read almost anything at about 1,000 words a minute and have 90% accuracy on a test. The second group was a good group. They were slower than the first group. They were 8 and 8 in each. And I ran them through an old-fashioned machine called a tachistoscope, where you could present letters at incredible speeds, split seconds. You can split seconds and see how fast and how accurate they saw the letter or the word that they saw. This is what I found. I found that there was a huge perceptual difference in the speed of which they read. Not only were they conceptually bright, but perceptually much faster than a very good group. Now, why that was important was it raised some controversy within the whole College of Education about the nature of the study. With the findings, I had to answer this question: can that speed be taught? I don't think so. I didn't think so then, I don't think so now. And when I was nominated for the Pope Joy Dissertation Award, the highest award for a graduating person in any college at the university, I lost by 1 vote. And that one person said, this would have been a great dissertation in the College of Arts and Sciences. So the mentality of of Martinez is arts and sciences. He's really not an educator. I was an educator, but I saw a limit there. You know, every one of the 8 ones, in fact, never took a reading course. I've got hate letters from around the country on my doctoral dissertation. My adoptive father had deep psychological problems that he took out on his wife, Udelia Lila Chavez Martinez, and on me. He would beat her up at will. Most of the time he was drunk when he did that, but then it got worse when he was doing that and he was not drunk. Well, all the kids would freak out when he would do that, but no one came to her help. At the age of 12, he sat me down on a chair. I thought he was going to cut my hair, and that's the way he usually did it, but he came behind me, and with a closed fist, he came behind me and hit me right on the top of my head as hard as he could. I fell to the floor, I saw stars, and I couldn't do mathematics for about a week. I went to the older brother, Phil, and I said, Phil, we need to stop him from doing this. Well, he hadn't touched Phil. He hadn't done that to Phil, but he did that to me. And Phil says, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. He may calm down. I says, I don't think he's going to calm down. What if he gets worse? I was a sort of an ascetic, contemplative kind of person. I didn't bother anyone, and I didn't want anyone to bother me. But this was different. He was going to get worse. I prayed about it. I felt he's going to get worse and not better. So I went to the streets of Albuquerque and started fighting in the streets. But in the streets, the best fighters were where I was, South Broadway, all the way to East San Jose Catholic Church. And I was 12. At first, I was like a human punching bag. Everybody whipped me, and everybody enjoyed whipping me. I got injured, I've got cuts all over the place, but nothing stopped me. I got better and better and better. Then it all came together. It was September of 1963. He started beating her up. You know, she would feed him a steak meal. We always ate beans, potatoes, chili, rice, but he had to have steak. And he never ate with us. He never ate with his children. I mean, there was what, 12 of us there, 12 kids. So he started hitting her, blood on the floor. Girls crying, all the boys, including Phil, left. I went right up to him and says, Daddy, you're not going to do that ever again. You're not going to hit her, and you're not going to hit me. He drooled. You know, from one fighter to another, that means that's what he wanted. He wanted this fight. We went outside. He didn't have a chance. I whooped him easily. But then he got nasty and mean. He picked up a rock. You know, they nicknamed me Chalo. He said, Chalo, I'm going to kill you. So I ran from my home at 515 High Street Southeast to St. Francis Church. Father Salas was there. I told him what happened. He believed me. He said, I'll call the police when I got there. He was cussing to the police. And then the police turned to my adoptive mother. She had never defended me at all. But in this case, she did. He said, what happened? She said, my son was defending me. He told Phil Martinez, he said, get out today, or if I come back tomorrow, I'll arrest you, and you will stay in jail for the rest of your life. So this is my philosophy. I was 4 years from age 12 to age 16 fighting in the streets. I was 4 more years in, could be called one of the most brutal armed forces, not only in the country, but in the world, in history. So I had 8 years of developing a personality that was, you know, I could go either way, literally. I could become a loose cannon, or I could become kind of a Rambo with spectacles. Go all the way or don't go, literally. I think life is a battlefield. It is. You may not think it is, but it is. When I got to the Marine Corps in 1968, I went to UNM. I was there for 3 years. I was a psychology major and an English minor and doing well. But deep inside, I didn't know what I was going to do in life. I had always planned to become a monk, especially in the Catholic order of the Cistercian order, or a Trappist monk. That was an idea that I was pretty serious about. The timing of this next experience changed everything in my life. I met Nancy. I didn't do any kind of analysis with Nancy. I had a psychology background and kind of an interesting background, but with her, see, I also didn't date or do normal things that kids do in high school. Why? Because I was worried that I would find my mom dead any day. I would often run home from high school. I would miss class and see if she was dead because he had hit her the night before. So with Nancy, I just accepted her. I didn't have to do battle. That's one of my main points. we had one argument. One argument after we were married. I don't even remember what it was about. But then we said, and then she was the one who came up with this. She said, listen, we don't need to argue. We're both strong people. We'll never give in, and then we'll end up hating each other, and we don't want that. So we prayed about it, put it in God's hands, and that was what we did all the time for 49 years. So surviving Nancy was the most difficult. And you see, my wife was a mathematics and physics double major in her first 3 years at Southern Oregon College. And she was brilliant. Nancy was a child prodigy. Nancy never bragged about herself, so I got more information out of her mom, who we took care of, than Nancy. She could speak. She spoke in complete sentences when she was not even 1 year old. She had her first publication in poetry when she was 9 years old. Her first book when she was about 18, 19 years old. She always talked about me, and I always talked about her, but she never talked about herself. So that's the kind of humble person she was.